how is it being gay in relationships? Does it automatically go to like, all right, you're the top, on the bottom, is it pretty?
It's not so systematic. I mean, I think it's a little more
right, but but I'm saying, like, do you as things arise, are you like, oh, I'm this, or is it like you're both? There's so much like, who's the man, who's the woman? Obviously, it's not that black and white, but like, how does it break down roughly in your experience?
Usually regret at 4 a.m. on Grindr. That's how it breaks down. No, usually, I mean, it's not so black. I think if you're just going for a straight hookup, which I think a lot of straight people think is sort of how gay relationships are determined.
Couldn't be further from the truth.
But sometimes you are just on Grindr. You're like, I haven't been on Grindr in years, but it's like, it's more aggressive. It's like, hey, I'm top looking for a bottom who's available. Yeah. Hey, I'm a bottom. But usually in a relationship, one might be more bottom, one might be more top.
And I'm not talking anatomically. I'm talking about like
submissive, dominant.
No, just like, what are the roles? Is it simple? Do the masculine, feminine dynamics apply?
It's different each person.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that like a lot of cis gay men,
I'm always the man in my relationships.
I'm never the man. I'm always in like a house coat. I'm just my nonna, really, is what it is. I look like E.T. when they put him in drag. No, I think it really just comes down to just whatever's more organic. I mean, I'm someone who's a cis male who has a lot of mix of feminine and masculine qualities, and I think the mentality of like who's mask and who's femme, it feels very antiquated. It feels very early aughts, 90s, 80s, and that comes from a lot of pressure from the outside world.
Yeah.
It all stems from misogyny. It stems from hating women. So it's like, if you're effeminate, then
go on.
Right. So, now I think actually the great thing about exposure, not just with YouTube and social media, but shows like RuPaul's Drag Race, where it shows very clearly in one episode the balance between how we view gender norms of man and woman and being completely blended and thrown into the river, I think has healed a lot of the queer community to give up this idea of I have to be masked, I have to be this, I have to be that, and it's allowed us to just be ourselves and be less offended and afraid of how others view us if we're too effeminate. I mean, most of my life I've been too effeminate in quotations for straight people, but it really just comes down to like the outside viewing us and pressuring us to please them. And I think the liberty of having shows like RuPaul's Drag Race literally allows us to liberate ourselves from the approval of the outside world. So there are a bunch of straight people who are not in the queer community and don't understand the dynamic of how that works out, and they don't understand non-binary. They don't understand what it means to be trans. They think that to be trans you have to look this way or act this way, and those rules don't apply anymore. Now, if someone wants to be masculine because it makes them feel better about themselves, love that, but it's because they chose it. Or if someone wants to appear or look a certain way or dress a certain way, it's because they chose it. And I think that's where we're arriving now, is the sort of liberation of the outside world demanding us to behave a certain way to make them comfortable, because it's exhausting. I mean, most of my life before it came out and even after it came out was trying to please this undefinable judge, like you said earlier, of how should I behave? How should I walk? How should I act? How should I talk? What kind of music should I listen to? What kind of colors can I be interested in? When can I perk up in a
It's similar to not shining your light. It's like, it's so hard to know what am I like.
Right.
And I'm assuming it's harder if there's outside pressure of like, you might get beat up.
Yeah, that too.
Or whatever.
Safety.
Yeah.
But I always feel safe at a Mariah Carey Christmas concert. Just want everyone to know this. But
they beat up straight people.
They do. They can smell it out.
I don't mind. I guess I would look stupid asking that question, but like,
no, I think it's a genuine question.
I'm like, from the outside in, there is so much like opacity that I just am like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And I guess there's no one thing.
No. I think that's the beauty of it. But also too, like, I never mind, like, I don't think people, when they ask me questions like that they're doing it to like pressure me. I think if someone's genuinely interested, I'm genuinely happy to answer. There's always an educational moment, well, and I don't really talk about it a lot on stage either.
I guess because I've only been in hetero relationships, it generally comes down to, I generally act like a masculine stereotype, and they generally act like a feminine.
Yeah.
So I like, and that's sort of that's the lens through which I see these things.
Sure.
So I'm wondering, like, what's the governing principles of most of your relationships?
But does it make you think that's like the what you're sort of
no? Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
right.
if it's masculine and feminine, what's the, it's like that's if that's
it's like being taken out of the Matrix, man.
Right? No, it's like if that's metric. What's the other one? Imperial or whatever? Like, what's feet and what's centimeters?
Sure.
And I'm curious, like, I guess, so you've been every kind of person in all your relationships.
I've tried on a lot of shoes, and now I'm finally in Crocs and I'm comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at.
What is you in Crocs?
I'm teasing. Just
no, but I'm saying, like, what is, but what is it? What have you settled
into? Not caring. When you see someone in Crocs, they're letting you know.
Right, but they
don't care.
And you don't care about, you're not trying to fit into, like, although the light dimming, I would assume you kind of have to play some defense against, like,
yeah, but
what would be the best way for me to be?
A lot of times it's like in this, what I'm talking about is like how I look and how I sound. I don't care. That used to be way. Oh no, I'm talking about for a long time.
inner within the relationship.
No, I still have a hard time in relationships. I'm very insecure there. In that, I'm secure. I think it comes down to I wasn't able to express myself in a way to like girls and start dating, and you kind of learn things early on. So for me, that came so late in life, and I was so full of insecurity. It feels like every other part of my life has matured, and then that part is still like an old toolbox where it's like, really? You're still using like a hammer and saw? Like, we have like so many more new tools, but I haven't gotten there yet. I still feel like I'm using old tools. Like, I feels like I'm playing tennis with a hockey stick. Like, I'm just doing everything wrong.
Give me an example.
Like, I don't know how to stand up for myself if I really like a guy. My immediate disposition is to always agree, because it's like being afraid of a kind of conflict, but it's not so much conflict. It's being afraid of not being liked. And I think for so long I was so unliked, and I unliked myself more than anything, that I just seek agreeable situations to be liked. And that all I do is end up resenting myself.
And then they kind of pay the price.
Of course. Well, then they don't respect you because I don't give a shit about myself. So I get walked over very easily.
Still.
Less now. I mean, less now. This, I'm talking like past relationships and stuff. But I mean, I sort of look at like how I behaved with men back then versus, now. Obviously, it's different now. I'm married, but even
you
before
are married?
then, yeah.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, I got married. Hey, Rodrigo. But even now, it's still like those. That
was
still
the gayest
me.
name you could come up with.
I know, Rodrigo. What if his name was Jeff, but I called him Rodrigo?
Hey, did you like that? Did you like that? Yeah, did you like it though? You want more? Don't want to work? Would rather watch videos of me grab-assing with people? First of all, go up here to subscribe, and then go up here to watch more clips. This is like when the weatherman says there's a high pressure system coming in. I'm not really used to the green screen.